Hilchis Mechirah Perek Tisha V'Esrim. Shloisha ein mikcha mekach ve'ein memkorin memkar din teira. The min teira they can't sell and they also can't buy. And these three are acheresh, hashete v'akot. So again, min teira, these three cannot buy or nor could they sell. Aval chacham tiknu sheyeh acheresh v'hakoten noise v'noisen u'maisav kayom. So b'negei hashete the chacham didn't institute any dinim. But b'negeya a cheresh and a cotton, so over there the Chacham instituted that they should be able to buy and sell and ma'asav kayomin, and that's mishum kedei chayev in order for them to be able to sustain themselves. So it comes out that if a cotton sells something, it's a proper sale, and al derez if a cotton buys something, it's a proper kinyan. He made an acquisition, he bought it. Now the ma'asav there's a shtickle dion because lepeil a cotton you could be makna to a cotton min hatoira with a das acheres makna. So basically when the cotton is selling, so in order for him to be able to be makna something, you need a din derabbanan. But when the cotton is buying something, l'chura there's a das acheres makna. The seller is being makna to the buyer. So l'chura, what do we need a din derabbanan in order for that sale, for that acquisition of the cotton that he's buying something should be a good acquisition. L'chura, he's being koine something which the other one is a das acheres makna, and that should work minatera. That's the kasha the Magid Mishnah asks, and the answer is yeah. Einochinami, you could be makna to a cotton minatera, but over here, since he's selling it to him, so he's only selling it to him because Lepel the cotton gave the money. But Lepel the cotton didn't give the money because Lepel the cotton's money is not really the moichers because Lepel he can be makna. So Memeli you needed a drabanan. The drabanan instituted that the money that the cotton gives should taka belong to the moicher, and the mela. So now when the moicher sells it to the cotton, so it's considered that it's taka the cotton's, even though he's only giving it because of the money. So l'chura at the end of it is Lepel when the cotton buys it. So it's his on menatedika level. There is the fact that the money that the cotton gave was the moichers, that's l'chura d'rabanan. That the fact that that money belongs to the moicher. But the makna, the moicher is being makna to the cotton based on the fact that he received the money. So he received the money midrabanan, but l'chura it'll be different. That the money that he received midrabanan caused him to be makna, das acheres makna, to the cotton, and that'll be menatera. So it'll come out that l'chura, when a cotton buys something, so the item is his on a menatera level. When a cotton sells something, so the item belongs to the buyer only on a drabanan level. L'chura, that'll come out, that'll be the chiluk. Halacha beis, hacheresh ketzed nesiv v'nesin. We're saying that midrabanan, a cheresh could be a nesiv v'nesin. Minatera, a cheresh cannot be a nesiv v'nesin, but midrabanan, a cheresh could be a nesiv v'nesin. He could buy and sell. Now, normally when we speak about cheresh, the cheresh says in Trumas that the cheresh she'amru chacham b'chol mokim is talking about a cheresh she'eini medaber ve'eini shemea. A cheresh which is medaber ve'eini shemea or shemea ve'eini medaber, but pashtus he's not a cheresh. That doesn't have the din of a cheresh. He's a regular person. He's missing. He's not able to hear. He's not able to talk. But that's not the cheresh which when Chazal spoke about cheresh sheitav v'kotten. The pale here, the Rambam puts a cheresh which is medaber ve'eina shemea in the category of a cheresh. Which on that the Magid Mishnah asks the l'chure why, and he brings up Sakash also from Gemara and Gittin. But lepel that's the shittas Rambam over here that a cheresh that's minatera is not koina. Not only is a cheresh she'eina medaber ve'eina shemea, it's also medaber ve'eina shemea. So the Ram says, "Hacheresh ketzed nesiv v'nesin, cheresh she'eina shemea v'lei medaber." We're talking about such a cheresh. A medaber ve'eina shemea klum, or we're talking about a cheresh which is medaber but he can't hear anything. So he's moicher v'lekeach hametaltlin, so he could sell and buy metaltlin, but that's only biramiza. Obviously biramiza, he has to do it biramiza. In other words, he can't speak. And you have to communicate with him about the sale. So either if he's Isai medaber ve'eina shemea, so it has to be a remiza both ways. So say you're meramis to him, and say he's meramis to the other person. He doesn't hear, he doesn't speak. If he's medaber ve'eina shemea, so he could speak, but on the other end, you have to be meramis to him, and that's only works on metaltal. Avalei bekarka, for karka, you're not gonna the sale or the acquisition of a cheresh doesn't work. And even when we're dealing with metalton, which we're saying that a cheresh could be noisiv and noisin and metalton, As leiskaimo meisav at sheboit k'neisi b'dikas rabbis. U'misyashim edover knows you have to make sure that he's a bardas, that he has a certain level of das, that he knows what he's doing and he knows what the sale is going on, and only then could you go ahead with the sale. And the sale is considered, the sale or the acquisition is considered a proper sale, a proper acquisition. That's the din of a cheresh. There's nochmal a cheresh, he has to do biremiza. Now, ilaim sheshemea ve'enim medaber, someone that's an ilam, someone that's dumb and knows he can't speak, he never was able to speak, but he could hear. Oy mishin ishtatik, or knows a person that was born, he was able to hear and speak, and then he became dumb, he wasn't able to speak. So the din is mikri mekach, umemkori memker, umetanesev kayomas bakil, bein metaltum bein bekarka. He is a regular person, a person that's able to hear, but he cannot speak, doesn't go into the together of a cheresh at all. He's an ilaim, and mele he is a regular person, and mele what he does is valid sai by karka and sai by metaltum. But a cheresh be'emes minatera is not valid, not by karka, not by metaltal. And midrabanon, it only works b'negei metaltalan. Mashenken an ilaim is minatera, works sai by karka and sai by metaltalan. Abevahu she bodik kederach shebeit kelegitten. In other words, you have to be basic to make sure that you know what he means. So you ask him a few times the same thing as he says al yeah and not. So memela you have to be basic a few times, like you're basic legitten. Or he writes. You know, since he's a person that's a regular person, he's able to hear, he understands things, he just is not able to talk. So male, if he writes, so his writing is also communication. So that's talking about a cheresh. Cheresh, and we spoke about an ilim. Now hashoita, ein mikri mekach, ein memkari memkar, ein matonesev kayomis. And there was a shaita, there was no takana made for him. Ubezn mamidna petrupis l'shoitim, just like the cotton, there's a musig of mamidna petrupis l'cotton. So al derech there's a musig of being maimed apetrupis l'sheita. So bezna is maimed apetrupis l'sheita. Now misha who eish sheita ve'eish shafi, someone that's sometimes a sheita and sometimes not a sheita, sometimes a regular person. Kigoin elu anichbim, those people that are suffering, they fall. It's an epileptic epilepsy. And mele, so vices b'shas when they're nichpim, so at that point in time they're b'pchina shaitim, is be'esha who shafui, the time when he's shafui, the time when everything's fine, he's healthy, is kol ma'asav kayamin v'zeichel atzmi u'lacherim. At that point in time, everything that he does is like a regular bardas, and mele he can be zeichel for himself and he can be zeichel for others as well. Kechol ben das. They have to make sure that it was done when he was completely shafi, when he was completely healthy. Because ksema b'seif shtusei, ebetchila shtusei asa masha asa. Knows he did what he did at the end of his period while he was a shaita, or at the beginning of the period when he was a shaita. So Memelis, he looked like a person that's healthy, but in reality he was bemis a shaita. So Memelis, you have to be basic to make sure that he was what he did. The transaction that he did was a transaction that was done as a person that's a bardas. So Memela, the Vaila we learned about a cheresh and a sheita. So Minatera, Saya cheresh, Saya sheita, Saya cotton is a mikri mekach, a kari memker. Midrabanan, they instituted that a cheresh and a cotton should be mikri mekach, kari memker. So first the Ram spoke about a cheresh. The Ram included a cheresh, Sai, ein medaber, ein shemeya, or ein shemeya umedaber. An ilim is not b'chlal cheresh. An ilim, which is shemeya ve'enim medaber, is a regular bardas. Then we learned about a sheita. By a sheita, there was no takana. Someone that's itim sheita and itim gesund. So that person, when he's a sheita, has a din of a sheita, nothing, his transactions aren't transactions. And when he's healthy, his transactions are perfectly normal, regular transactions. But the edim have to be mavar to make sure that he wasn't a sheita. He wasn't betchilash to say, he wasn't beseif to say. In other words, he was 100% healthy. Halacha vav, cotton. Now we spoke, the third category was a cotton. Is as at sheish shanim, until he's 6 years old, einak no yosi lacherim klum. He can't be makna. He can't be makna lacherim. To give something away, he can't until 6 years old. Umishei shanim at sheyagdol. However, from 6 years old until he becomes a gadol, is im yidea betiv masu mas, and he understands about business, and others knows that's something that's his and something is someone else, and giving something away. In others, he has a sense of ownership, what it means to own something and to sell something, to buy something. He has a sense of that understanding of what it means to buy something and to sell something. So then the din is mikri mekach, When he buys something, it's considered his. Umemkari memkar, and when he sells something, it's considered a proper sale. Umatonosi kayemes, and when he gives something away as a present, it's also considered a proper present. This is all midrabanan. Bein bedavar merube, bein bedavar mut. Say we're talking about a large present or small present. Bein matnas bari, whether he's giving it as a matnas bari and it's healthy, he's giving it a matnas bari. And bein matnas shchivmira, even as matnas shchivmira, if this cotton is about to die, and Memele he's giving away a present betur matnas shchivmira. So nevertheless, that's the din that lepel he could be makna something matnas shchivmira. That's part of takana d'rabban. The whole musik that a cotton could be kaina and a cotton should be makna, all this is on the rabbanic level. Kadeshal bottle, and in order that there shouldn't be a matzav, that they shouldn't be able to function. Nobody's going to want to. He's not going to be able to sell anything. No one's going to be able to buy anything. No one's going to want to buy something from him, and no one's going to want to sell anything from him to him, because every time they'll be able to go back on the sale. Whereas if the din is going to be that, like the din minatera, that a cotton his sale is not a sale and his acquisition not an acquisition, so no one's going to do any business with him. So therefore, Chacham instituted that you should be able to make a sale and you should be able to make an acquisition. This whole takana d'Rabbanan is only by metalton, just like we learned before b'negeya a cheresh, that a cheresh only works b'negeya metalton. It has to be only metalton. B'negeya karka, they didn't make a takana for the cheresh. So al derazeh, this cotton that we're learning over here, that the cotton could make a sale and buy things. That's only talking about karka, metalton rather. V'hakel b'metalton. Avul b'karka. Now, to buy karka, he could buy karka, just like he could buy metaltal and he could buy karka b'pashtus. Masha'inkin, to sell karka or to give away karka, that he can't do as a cotton. Whereas the takana d'Rabbanan, that he could sell something and give something away, only works as far as karka is concerned, and not as far as metaltal is concerned. Not as far as metaltal is concerned. Now, b'medvar mamurim, that when you say that his sale is a good sale, or when he gives something away, it's considered giving away. Now that is when he buys something, is bekotten she'en apotropos. If there's no apotropos, there's no one like in charge, that it was put as a person in charge of the house, an apotropos. Avalim hoyele apotropos, if someone that was put in as being in charge of his nechosim, someone that's in charge of his nechosim, is ein ma'asav klum afilu b'metalton. Whatever he does b'metalton is nothing. Ela midas apotropos, unless the apotropos agrees. Shem yirotze lekayim mikchim memkorei. So no side b'negei acquisition, mikchei umemkari, side buying something and side selling something or giving something away. It all depends whether the apotropos is maskim. If the apotropos is maskim, so then his mekach umemkars works, and if not, so it doesn't work. So in other words, the apotropos, so to speak, has the veto power on any act that the cotton does, because there's an apotropos that was appointed as being in charge of the chosim of the cotton. Halacha ches. Now we started off halacha vav, that a cotton until he's 6 years old, so what he does as hakniyosi lacherim is nothing. He can't be makna lacherim until 6 years old. Once he's 6 years old, even though he's a cotton, and he's yedeya betiv masu matan. That's what the Ram starts off in Allah, beginning of halacha vav. Mishei shonim achi yagdel im yedeya betiv masu matan. So then he could go ahead mikri mekach umemkari memkar umatanos kayamas. So then his acquisition, al derazeh sale, is all kayam, only if he's yedeya betiv masu matan. So on that the Ram says here halacha ches. Boit kines cotton im yedeh betiv masu matan or yena yedeh. You have to be boited the cotton to see whether he's yedeh betiv masu matan. If he sheyesh cotton chochem v'noven shuhu yedeh v'hu ben sheva. You could have a child that's 7 years old that understands in tiv masu matan. He understands in business. He understands the value of money and the idea of selling and buying. V'yesh acher shafil ben shleish esrei yedeh betiv masu matan. And then you could have another child that even he's 13 years old, he still doesn't understand the Indian of tiv masu matan. He doesn't really understand business. So cotton hayedeh betiv masu matan she'en li apotropos, a cotton that understands tiv masu matan, and he doesn't have an apotropos, so therefore his sale is a good sale, or his acquisition is a good acquisition, and shenosa v'nosen b'metaltel v'to is dine kidin agodl. He has his din is the same like a godl in the sense of ino. Pachas mishtus, if it was only pachas mishtus, is mechila. Shtus marzer ha'inoya. By shtus he has to be marzer the hinoya. And yeser al shtus batal mekach k'meshe b'yarnu. So the Rambam is saying a chiddush over here, because normally you say a cotton is eine bar mechila, and that's the Ravid asks, Taka l'chura, that a cotton is eine bar mechila, so how could there be that pachas mishtus is considered mechila? But l'peil, that's vaishtus, part of the takana. Part of the takana is that you deal with this cotton as if he's a godel as far as the sale is concerned. And therefore, so if he has an apotropos, so we learned before that he doesn't have any rights to do anything. In other words, the apotropos has the last say whether or not what he did is good or not. And then so mele then so didn't the apotropos. Masha'inkin, if there's no apotropos and he's a yedeh betiv masu matan, so therefore the takana de rabban works that his mekach or memker should work. So memele it goes under the same dinim of the regular hilchas eino, which is pachas mishtus and mechila, and a shtus is machzer eino, and yesem mishtus is batla mekach. That's the first din of the Ram. Then the Ram continues. Nachamal. Pachas kotna yedeh betiv masu matan she'en li apotropos shenose v'nosen b'metalton v'to is dine kedin agodel. Pachas mishtus mechila, shtus machzer einoya, yeser al shtus batla mekach k'meshe b'yarnu. Now the Rambam is saying a din, a hagbola in this din of how a cotton could be kainav. Ani emer she'ein mekach hakotten umimkore b'metalton kayomen ela b'shemoshach ehimshach. In order for an acquisition or a sale of a cotton should be valid on a drabonan dika level is only if there was a meshicha. In order for the cotton to be kaina, he was moishach the item, or in order for the kaina to be for the cotton to be moicher, so the one that's buying from him has to be moishach the item. So then that item he was moishach it became his. The cotton was moishach it became the cotton's. Avalim nosen mois ala mekach. If the cotton gave money, someone gave money, the cotton gave money rather. The chazar be'enim akal mishapara, because this musik of mishapara for giving money is pshat is be'etzem the mois should be koina. And lepeil, if you're being chayzer, so even though the Chazal instituted that mois is not koina, but being chayzer you makal mishapara. And that the Rambam says, first of all, that doesn't apply to a cotton. If a cotton gave money in order to buy something, and now the cotton has charata, so the cotton doesn't receive a mishapara, even though when someone gives the cotton money and they have charata, so they do receive a mishapara. That's what the Rambam says. Vani eimer she'ein mekach ha-cotton umemkor b'metalton kayomen el b'shimoshach himshach. Aval, first of all, im nosen mois ala mekach v'chazar bei, if the cotton gave money for the mekach and lepeli had charata, is eini mekal mishapara. However, v'acherim shechazru bei, the acherim shechazru bei, after the money was given, so then it's makabel mishapara. Then the are makabel mishapara. And those the cotton wants to buy something, and lepel he gave money for it, and then now the seller is having charata, so now the seller receives a mishapara. Even though if the cotton would have charata, he wouldn't receive a mishapara. That's din number one. Then there's din number two, v'chein. Just like the Ram just said that kesef is not kaina from a cotton. There's no ma'aseh kinyan of kesef, and lepel if lepel a cotton took kesef. So there's no din of mishapara. That doesn't apply to a cotton. The only din that a kinyan applies is only when there's a ma'aseh meshicha. So I'm saying if cotton, if there was a ma'aseh kinyan, or there's a kinyan chalipen, someone gave the cotton a suda, and the cotton was kaina the suda, and he wants to be makna the item. V'chein konim yada cotton, a hisker became a metaltalin. The cotton was masked, the place where the metaltalin was lying. And then the Chazar Bey, and then he had Charata, is Likon Halikech. She'ein mitziin miyad cotton bedin. Because you can't be mitzi miyad cotton bedin. When you lapel, you have the item already. The Lekech made a mashich on the item, so the item is by him. Mashenkin over here, the item really finds itself biyad al cotton. It's just that you made a ma'aseh kinyan, which gives you entitlement to go take the item. That's how Ram is learning that the ma'aseh kinyan is like entitling you to take the item. But lepel, since you don't have the item, al derezeh you were soicher the mekaim of the item. So since the item really finds itself biyad ha-cotton, notice the cotton owns the karka. It was just masker the mokim of this item to the buyer. So therefore, that's called you're being moitzi from the cotton. You can't be moitzi from a cotton. If you made a ma'aseh kinyan with ma'aseh meshicha, then it's yours. That's what I'm saying. V'chein konim yad ha-cotton. You made a ma'aseh kinyan with the cotton. A hisker became a metaltalin, or the cotton was masked and became a metaltalin, and then the chazer bay, and he was chazer, is likana likech, she'ein mitziin midei cotton bedin. There's no musik of being moitzi midei cotton bedin, ve'in kinyan miyad cotton klum. The fact that you made a kinyan with the cotton, that's nothing. Shakinyan, it says here bishtar, but some ageres kishtar, is just like a star. Ve'ino edem chesman al star el al shaladim gadol. Together of a star is that you're saying that this person is committing himself to someone. The mischayev is giving something. So just like you won't write a star for a cotton to say that the cotton is being makna something to someone with a star, so hu adin, a kinyan wouldn't either work for a cotton. The nekudah is that when you want to buy from a cotton, the kinyan works if you go ahead and take it. Masha'enkin, if you do a maisa kinyan, either you have a star and the cotton is giving a star, or al derezeh you're making a maisa kinyan with the cotton, that doesn't work to make a maisa kinyan on an item. So bekitzer, to be koine from a cotton, you have to make a Mechirah. It won't help to make a maisa kinyan of chlipin, and al derezeh, if you soicher the item, the place of the item from the cotton, that also wouldn't help. The Archaga from here is meduyik that even though a cotton cannot be makna karka, but it could be masker karka, because if it can't be masker karka, so there's nothing to talk about. We're saying no, even though you were seicher the karka, but lepil, that didn't affect the maisa kinyan on the metaltal. Halacha yud v'chein. So this was talking about when you're being koine from a cotton. Now over here v'chein, cotton shekona metaltalin. A cotton was koine the metaltalin. And the cotton was the one that's making the maisa kinyan. He was the one that's giving the sudar to the moicher, or the cotton was the one that's being soicher the mokim of the metaltalin. Is again lei kana chiyimshel. The cotton is not kaina through a maisa kinyan, and he's not kaina through being soicher the mokim of the metaltalin. He's not zoich in the same ways that a gadol could be kaina. A gadol could be kaina with a maisa kinyan, and a gadol could be kaina being zoich the makom metaltalim. But the cotton cannot. Ra'il adover. You see, ein chotzer shel cotton v'lei arba amis shelei kainulei. There's normally a person can be kaina with his chotzer, and he can be kaina also with arba amis in the rabbanon. But lepel, a cotton can be kaina with his chotzer, and he cannot be kaina with his arba amis. Why? Because the gather of a chotzer has a din like the shliach of the buyer, and v'lei midin yadi kameshi is buyer, like I'll speak in Hilchas Chia, the Rambam really mentioned it already in Hilchas Gzela, and therefore a cotton cannot be kaina with his chotzer, because the chotzer is going to act as his shliach, and lepel, a cotton can't have a shliach, and therefore v'lei kinyan. So when the cotton goes ahead and he's soicher the makom of the metaltalin from the seller, so that can be better than a chotzer. Now the Rambam says also kinyan eschiras makom gadol mechatzeri. L'chura bishlei meschiras makom, we understand schiras makom can be better than chotzer, but l'chura kinyan is a chamaisa kinyan. So why can't that be better than chotzer? So that Maggid Mishnah is ma'ir about it. I'll call upon him. So the Rambam is namigon that sodavar apashut that a cotton can't be koine not with a maisa kinyan. You can't be koine from him from a maisa kinyan, and he can't be koine with a maisa kinyan. You can't be koine with him through the schiras of the mokim of where the metaltalin is, and he can't be koine through being soicher the mokim where the metaltalin is. Aval haktana shenesrapsa chatzera miyada. A ktana which her chotzer has a din of a yad, because there's a special limud. But a ktana there's a din v'nosen biyada. You give her a get. You could give her a get. You could give her a get biyada ktana. And with marba not only biyada but also bechatzera. So a ktana could be nizgarish to putting it bechatzera. Once we establish that a ktana could be nizgarish to be putting it bechatzera, so maybe we say that chatzera has a din of yada. If Chseir has a din of Yoda, Legabi Gittin, so who has a din of Yoda, Legabi Mammon. So Shemela, she could be Kainu, even though a cotton could not be Kainu with his Chotzer, but a Ktana could be Kainu with her Chotzer. So just like a Ktana could be Kainu with her Chotzer, is also Tikna Metaltal Meacherim Im Konu Yoda, Oy Beschiras Mokim. So just like she could be Kainu with Chotzer, because Chotzer, so Huadin, she could be Kainu with a Maisa Kinyan, or she could be kaina with a schiras mokim, which you have to understand l'chura the connection. Whereas bishleim chotzer has a din of yoda, the chotzer has a din of yoda, and as a result of that, so when she's kaina the metaltem menacherim through schiras mokim, so it also has a din kilo like it's bechatzera. Masha'inkin, the fact that she's konu miyodam, how does that work? The fact that there's a cotton can be he can't make a Maisa Kinyan in order to be Koina. A Ketana could make a Maisa Kinyan and be Koina. So we say, just like a Ketana has Chatzera, so Huadin, a Ketana can make a Maisa Kinyan in order to be Koina. L'chura, Bishlei Chatzera, we say Chatzera has a din of Yoda. Masha'inkin, why should that cause that she should be able to Koina with a Maisa Kinyan? That's like a next step. The Saldera, the Shaila of the Magad Mishnah, how do we learn out Maisa Kinyan from the fact that Ein L'chotzer? So over here is Fakert, we're learning out that she has a Maisa Kinyan from the fact that Yesh L'chotzer. But the reason why she has Chotzer is Chatzera's Midin Yoda. So how does that affect the din of a Maisa Kinyan? Al Kopan. Halacha Yudalef. Yiroli, Shekotten Shekona Karka, and Lepel V'nosim Dom V'hirze B'karka, is Tamid B'yodi. So this din that a cotton can't go ahead and sell karka only applies that he can't sell karka, but he could buy karka. A cotton shekona karka v'nosen dom and lepel v'hirze b'karka tamid b'yodi. Aval pi she'ein memkori b'karka klum. Even though he cannot sell karka, sha'cotton k'misha eini b'fanenu. Just like when a person wouldn't be b'fanenu, so you could make an acquisition for karka. Zochen lo'adam shlei b'fanav, but v'ein choven lo'adam ele b'fanav. You can't be koina from him shlei b'fanav, but you could be koina for him shlei b'fanav. So al derech over here, the cotton cannot be makne karka. So even though you can't make a Maisa Kinyan, the cotton is any b'fanenus, even though there's a Maisa Kinyan happening, but it's like the Maisa Kinyan is happening shali b'fanav. But that's only when the Maisa Kinyan is happening to take the karka away from the cotton. Mashenkin over here, you're taking the karka for the cotton, so the karka that's being taken for the cotton, even though it's being done by the cotton, so it's keilu, like there was a schia on behalf of the cotton, and memela it is keina. Aval b'she'im memkori b'karka klum, sha'cotton k'mishe'eni b'faneinahu, v'zochen lo'adam shlei, aval b'she'im memkori b'karka klum. Why? Because sha'cotton k'mishe'eni b'faneinahu. We look at the cotton as if he's not here. It's being, things are being done for him or from him. So we say, when it's being done for him, nor is he's being koine karka, so that could be done, even though he's shlei b'fanav. So therefore, when you're taking away the karka from him, it can't be taken away because it's not b'fanav. Halacha Yud Beis. Cotton shehigdel, v'hevi hazocher shtei sayris acher shleisha sishana, or v'habas acher shtei masrei. So now they became a gadol. Till now we were talking about there was a cotton that's pachim ben sheish, and then there was a cotton that was already a ben sheish, and the shai lives a yedeh b'tiv maso matan. Now we're talking about a cotton that became a gadol. And now the gadol is not only b'shonim, they became shleisha sishana or shtema sishana, but a gadol means it was a shonim and simonim. Is afal pi she'enu yedeh b'tiv maso matan, is mikchi mekach umemkori memker umatanosi matana b'metaltel. As far as metalton is concerned, once he becomes a gadol, even he's not really an understander in tiv maso matan, but lepel is a gadol, is a din of a bendas. Memela, whatever he sells is sold, and whatever he buys is bought, and even what he gives away is also given away. But that's only as far as metalton is concerned. Aval bekarka, so Chazal instituted, ein maisav kayomim, ad sheyi yedea betiv maso matan acher sheigdel. In order for him to buy karka and sell karka, the Ram really said before, buying karka could even be done by a cotton, but lepel that it should be a buying, that it should be binding the sale is only once he's a person that sai is a gadol and sai is yidea betiv maso matan. Because b'negei metaltalin, just being a gadol is already enough. Mashenkin, in order for him to have an effect b'negei karka, he has to be a gadol and yidea betiv maso matan. And then Hagufa, Bamedvar Mamurim, that once he's a gadol and is yideh b'tiv masu matan, it's binding. That's bekarka shalei. If he's selling his karka, which means he went ahead and bought karka and he sold karka, so that karka that he bought he could sell. Avol karka sheyorish mi'avesav a mishar mirishav, karka which he yarshened, either from his parents, from his father, or mishar mirishav, ein memkori mimker achiyeh ben esem shana. So Chazal instituted that his Mechirah shouldn't be a Mechirah until he's 20 years old. Aval pi shehevish teisaides v'yedeh b'tiv masu matan. Why? Because Shema Yimker Bezel, we're concerned that maybe he'll sell for cheap. Since he's young, so Mele he's being enticed by seeing money. So Mele he's willing to give away the karka, even though Bahamas it could be that it's better for him to keep the karka, not sell it. And That's talking about, so a sale is not a sale. So even if he's a godel and he's a yedeh b'tiv masu matan, but if he didn't reach 20 years old, so then his sale is not a sale. However, matonose kshu pachas ben esrim, when he gives something away as a present, bein matnas bari, bein matnas shchiv mirai, zarizum kayamas. His present is kayam. For him sheilu lehigil lehanog gdei lelinosim. Notice there's no money being given over here. So the reason why he's giving away a present must be because he received a very big hano. And also, v'udavar sheini matzu tamud. V'amru chachamim tiskayim matanase kidei sheyu dvarav nishmoim. Notice, if he's a person that's in the position to be able to give a matana, so people will listen to him. So mainly there's like 3 reasons why a matana works. A matana works, first of all, because he must have gotten a very big toiva from this person, or else he wouldn't have been giving a matana. And also, it's a davar sheini shchiach. And also, it's a toiva for the cotton that his matana should be a matana, because through that is dvarav nishmoim. Is the nekudas advarim? The nekudas advarim is that we're saying that until a cotton until he's 6 years old, it doesn't help anything. There's no mechira. There's no mechira. There's no kinyan. Once he's 6 years old, so if he's yodea b'tiv masu matan, if he understands in tiv masu matan, so then is michrei mecher and matanosi matana. In michrei mecher and matanosi matana, and is also when he buys something, it's considered bought. But that's again only through a kinyan of Mechirah. Masha'inkin, if it's not a kinyan of Mechirah, so then it doesn't work. So the Rambam said before, when he gives money, for example, there's no din of mishapara, even though there is a mishapara from the other person. And those of must say if the cotton gave money to buy something, and he wants to be chayzer, so he can be chayzer without a mishapara. Masha'inkin, if the seller wants to be chayzer, then there is a mishapara. I'll call upon him a cotton if he's yedeh b'tiv masu matan, and there was a kinyan of Mechirah, so he's koina. He's koina. Now that din is only until he's a godel. Once he's a godel, so even if he's not a yedeh b'tiv masu matan, so then his kinyan is also a kinyan. Is when he buys something, it's considered he bought, and when he sells something, it's considered he sold. Now derech matana. That's only as far as metalton is concerned. As far as karka is concerned, it's not enough that he should be a godel. He has to be a godel and also yedeh b'tiv masu matan. Now, even by karka, even when you're saying he's a godel and he's yedeh b'tiv masu matan, and therefore he could go ahead and buy and sell karka, that's only talking about karka, which is not something that he inherited from his father or from Mirishov. Masha'inkin, a karka which he inherited, so Vihil Chazal instituted that he can't sell that karka until he's 20 years old. And even though Chazal instituted that he can't sell the karka, but if he gives away the karka, so then that matana is a good matana. That's what we just learned. Halacha tezvav. B'medvar mamurim shumeche karka aviv kshehu ben esrim kshehevish teisaitis kshenedli simoni soros. The fact that he's 20 entitles him to be able to sell his father's nechosim is only if he's also a godel. If he's a godel and he's already 20 years old. Avol im lehevish teisaitis v'linasa soros. There's a person that didn't bring teisaitis and he also doesn't have simoni soros, like we learned in Hilchos Ishus. So cotton, he still has a din of a cotton. And the fact that he's 20 years old doesn't give him the right to be able to sell b'nichsi yaviv. Ve'ein memkori bekarke mimker v'afilu b'nechasav. Afilu in his own nechasim. Because lepel, we learned before, you can't be a moicher in karka unless you're a godel. Whereas before we learned a godel and he's a yedeh b'tiv masu matan, so he could sell karka, which is, he didn't yarshin. Masha'inkin, this person is a cotton, even though he's over 20 years old. He has a din of a cotton. Until he goes older and he becomes Reiv Shneisa. Reiv Shneisa means he reaches his 35th birthday and he goes into the 36th year. So that's pshat. He already was over Reiv Shneisa. Halacha tezayin. Mi shemochar bein benechosov bein menichsei aviv v'mes. A person went ahead and sold karka. Now ubo kreva v'iraru shahoye cotton b'shas hamecher, that he was really a cotton, and therefore he wasn't able to sell karka. A cotton could never sell karka. So now the kreva mataining that this sale that this person sold he was really a cotton, and therefore now they yarshin it because Lepel he had never had a right to sell it. Now Lepel, if he was a gadol, so then the sale was a good sale. their taina was that he was a cotton. So their tining, they want to be beidik him to see whether he was a gadol or a cotton, to be beidik the simonim. Ubikshu lebotke. This was after his mess. So the din is ein shem lehem lenavle. We don't listen to these kravim that are tining. They're tining that this field that their karev sold was sold when he was a cotton, and therefore it wasn't really a proper sale, and therefore they want to get the karka. So we say ein shem lehem lenavle. V'oid. Besides the fact that we're not going to be menavel this mess because of these craving to have this taina, there's another thing. Shas simonim ishtanim b'misa. In other words, it's possible that even they'll be beidikim, they'll see that he doesn't have simonim, but lepel, it could have been that the simonim fell out. And memelu, so what do we do? V'chazaki she'eino edem chesman al ashtar elim ken yodu b'vadei shamecher gadol. We understand that the pashkas advarim is that when they signed the shtar knowing that the person that authorized the shtar, which means the moicher, was a gadol, so therefore this person that they're tining was a cotton. When he sold it, we assume that he wasn't a gadol, that he wasn't a cotton, because there's a chazaka, that the shtar was done bekashros, and you don't sign a shtar for a cotton like we learned before. So therefore we are naman that he's a gadol. Now, if he's alive, person's alive, so then there's a tiner that was a cotton, or himself is tining, so I'll call upon him, so you could be baidik. Mashenkin after shemes to go be beidik the mess, to be menavel the mess, in order for the yorshim, that we don't do. And besides the fact that since he was mess, so things could have changed. Halacha Yud Zayin. Pochis mi ben esrim shemocha karka oviv. Now the din is that when you're less than 20 years old, you're not allowed to sell karka oviv. You're really not entitled to sell karka oviv. But Lepel, he did it. So the din is choytzer umeitzim yad alekech. So you could go ahead, now that he realizes that the Mechirah wasn't a proper Mechirah, he could be choytzer umeitzim yad alekech. And according to this daya, the Rambam is going to bring another daya, is ben koydem esem ben acher, whether it's before he's 20 years old or he's already 20 years old. He tines that when I sold it and I wasn't yet 20, so it wasn't a proper sale. Umeitzim and alekech kol ha-peiros she'achal. And now the lekech has to give back all the payers that he ate, because retroactively we say not retroactively, he's tining that it was never a good mechira. If lepel, this lekech spent money on the karka, and now you want to take away from him the payers, is shamalei, so you assess how much money he spent, so he doesn't have to give back all the payers, he only uses the payers minus the money that he spent on the karka. That's kedin hazeh, which we just learned, that you could take back the karka and the lekech has to give back the peiros, even though he's tining, it's already after he's 20 years old. Kedin hazeh heiru rabbeisai. Not only when he was a gadol and he sold nichsei aviv, which he didn't have a right, he was a right to sell karka, but he didn't have a right to sell nichsei aviv. Even if he was a cotton mamish, shemocha karka nichsei aviv. And lepel, which he wasn't really had a right to sell any karka. And lepel l'kshenase ben esrim leimicha, this cotton, when he became a ben esrim, wasn't mecha, eine yachalazer, he can't ask for the karka back. Why? Shekivan shalokach hamois, he took the money. And when the shtamish haliker bekarka zu lefon of kshu ben esrim leimicha, and this person that bought the karka used the karka after the cotton was already a ben esrim, and he wasn't mecha. So that's niskayim b'yad alekech. That causes a kiyum of the sale b'yad alekech. So even though b'shas ha-mechira taka wasn't a proper mechira, and he could have been meichel until he was ben esrim, he could have been meichel. But once he's a ben esrim and he wasn't meichel, so he can't be meichel anymore. Shaharei ratzi b'memkari, he was maskim to the memkar. Halacha yudches hashikir is mikri mekach umimkari memkar umatonesev chayom. So a regular shikr, even though he's shikr, so it's not mamish daitim yusheves, but nevertheless, if he sells something, he buys something, he gives something away, it's considered a proper transaction. However, if this shikr was not stam a shikr, it was a higil shikrusi shalet. What is a shikrusi shalet? Like the story with late that he bought a bitov, and male he was eini yudem mahuesa. So then a ma'asav klum. So then what he did is meaningless. And vareu kesheita a cotton pachas ben sheish. He has a din like a sheita or a cotton pachas ben sheish, which whatever they did is meaningless.